There's a version of you that never grew up, not in the way you think, and everything breaking in your life right now, it's because of them. This isn't another self-help video. This is about meeting the stranger you've been running from your entire life, the one who's been calling you in the language of anxiety, emptiness, and patterns you can't break. So if you're ready, let's begin. You keep choosing the same type of person, don't you? The job changes, the city changes, but somehow the emptiness stays. You've read the books, done the therapy, practiced the gratitude, but that ache beneath your ribs, still there, waiting, whispering. What if I told you it's not random? What if every time you sabotage success, every time you push away, love every moment, you feel fundamentally not enough? What if these aren't personality flaws? What if they're messages Carl Jung spent decades studying, something most people never see? He didn't call it self-sabotage or bad luck. He looked deeper into the architecture of the human psyche and found something profound. What we refuse to face doesn't disappear. It becomes our fate. Your fate. The repeating heartbreaks, the jobs that drain you, the love you can't accept. These aren't punishments from the universe. They're breadcrumbs leading back to an unhealed wound. And at the center of that wound sits a child. Not a memory, a living presence. Think about it. Somewhere around age 5, 6, 7, something happened. Maybe it wasn't dramatic. No abuse, no tragedy. Just a moment when love felt conditional. When your tears were too much. When you learned that to be safe, you had to be different than you were. In that moment, you split in two. One part learned to adapt to achieve to be the good child. This became your persona, the mask you show the world. The professional self. The capable one. The one who has it together. But the other part, the real you, the one who felt too deeply and needed too much, that child got locked away. And you've been living half a life ever since. This is why you can succeed in your career, but feel empty. Why you can be surrounded by people and feel utterly alone. The person living your life isn't fully you. It's a performance, a survival strategy that worked brilliantly when you were 7, but is suffocating you now. Jung discovered something revolutionary during his own descent into darkness. After his break with Freud, he nearly lost his mind. Visions, voices, chaos erupting from within. What saved him wasn't running from it. It was turning toward it, listening to what the darkness had to say. He realized that what we are not conscious of appears in our lives as fate. Your unconscious doesn't forget. It waits. And when you're finally ready, or when life forces you, everything you buried comes knocking. That anxiety attack at 3 a.m., that's your inner child trying to reach you. The relationship that replays your childhood wound, that's them showing you what still needs healing. The depression that won't lift no matter how many pills you take, that's your soul saying, I can't live this lie anymore. Here's what I'm going to show you in the next 40 minutes. How to recognize the voice of your inner child. How to understand what they're trying to tell you. And most importantly, how to heal the wound that's been running your life from the shadows. Because once you understand this, everything changes. Your relationships make sense. Your patterns become clear. And for the first time, you'll have the power to choose differently. Let me take you back. Every wound begins with love withheld. Not necessarily abuse or abandonment in the dramatic sense. Sometimes it's subtler, more insidious. A parent too exhausted to hug you back. Being told big kids don't cry. A room that went silent when you got excited. A look that said, you're too much, too loud, too sensitive, too needy. The child doesn't understand nuance. They don't know their parent is depressed or stressed or human. They only know one thing. Something about me is wrong. And in that moment of misunderstanding, a decision gets made. I have to change who I am to survive. This is how the persona is born. It's the mask, the adaptive self, the version of you that learns exactly what to do to be accepted. For some, it's achievement, straight A's promotions being the best. For others, it's caretaking, always putting others first, becoming indispensable. Some become invisible, small, agreeable, whatever keeps the peace. The persona is necessary. You need it to function in the world. But somewhere along the way, you forgot it was a costume. You started believing this is who you are. And your inner child, the real you with all those messy, inconvenient emotions, they got shoved into what Jung called the shadow. The shadow is everything you rejected about yourself to be lovable. Your anger, your sadness, your desire, your wildness. All of it went underground into the basement of your psyche. And here's the cruel irony. The very things you most need to be whole are the things you most fear in yourself. You think if you let yourself feel that rage, you'll destroy everything. If you admit that neediness, you'll be abandoned. If you show that sadness, you'll never stop crying. So you keep it locked away. Keep performing. Keep pretending you're fine. But the unconscious doesn't play along forever. Jung studied alchemy not because he believed in literally turning lead into gold, but because he saw it as a metaphor for psychological transformation. The alchemists knew something: you can't create gold without going through the darkness first. They called the first stage nigredo, the blackening. It's the descent, the breakdown, the moment when everything you've been holding together falls apart. Your depression, your crisis, your dark night of the soul. This isn't failure, it's the beginning of transformation. Because in that darkness, something is happening. The false self is dying, the persona is cracking, and through those cracks, your inner child starts to emerge. Not to torment you, but to show you what still needs love. Think about the last time you had an irrational emotional reaction. Someone said something innocuous, and you felt rage or terror or heartbreak, way out of proportion to the situation. That wasn't you overreacting. That was your inner child recognizing an old wound and crying out. When your partner forgets to text you back and you spiral into, "They don't love me," that's not adult logic. That's a 5-year-old who learned love is conditional and can disappear without warning. When your boss criticizes your work and you feel worthless, that's not professional feedback hitting you. That's a child who learned their value depends on performance. These aren't problems to fix. They're invitations. Your inner child is showing you exactly where they're still waiting for someone to come back and say you were never wrong to feel. You were never too much. The world was just too small for your heart. The path forward isn't more control or more achievement. It's descent. It's what comes after nigredo albedo, the whitening, the purification. And in psychological terms, that means grief. You have to grieve the childhood you didn't have, the love that came with conditions, the parts of yourself that had to die so you could survive, the years you spent living as someone else. And here's what nobody tells you about grief: it's holy. Tears aren't weakness, they're water. They're how the soul cleanses itself of accumulated pain. The softest thing in the world overcomes the hardest, the ancient wisdom reminds us. Your tears are dissolving the walls you built around your heart. If you're crying right now, good. That means something frozen is finally melting. That means your inner child feels safe enough to hurt. And that's the beginning of everything. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine walking into a room from your childhood. Maybe it's your bedroom. Maybe it's a corner of the house where you used to hide. Look around. Feel the quality of the light, the silence or the noise. And there in the corner, you see them. A child. Maybe 5. Maybe 7. Maybe 12. That's you. The you that never got what they needed. The you that's been waiting all this time for someone to come back. What do they look like? Are they small, curled up, trying to be invisible? Are they angry, arms crossed, refusing to trust? Are they frozen, staring at nothing, too hurt to even cry anymore? Don't rush to fix them. Don't flood them with positivity or tell them it'll be okay. Just sit down beside them. Just be present. Because this is where healing actually begins. Not with solutions, with presence. Your inner child might say things that break your heart. They might say, "You left me here. You told me I was too much. You promised we'd be okay, but you lied. You became just like them." Listen. Don't defend. Don't explain. Just listen. Because they're right. At some point you did abandon them. You had to survive. But now you're back. And that changes everything. Here's what they need to hear, what they've needed to hear for decades. "I'm sorry I left you here. I thought I had to. I thought if I kept you hidden, we'd be safe. But I was wrong. You were never too much. The world was too small. Your feelings weren't wrong. They were real, and they mattered. And I'm so sorry no one told you that. I'm here now. And I'm never leaving you again." When you say this, something shifts. Not immediately, not magically, but deep in the architecture of your psyche, a door that's been locked for years begins to open. This is albedo, the purification Jung spoke of. This is the washing, the release. And what needs to be released? The lies. The beliefs your inner child formed about reality that still run your life today. I have to earn love. If I show my needs, I'll be abandoned. I'm only valuable when I'm producing. My feelings are too much for people. I'm inherently broken. These aren't truths. They're survival adaptations from a child who didn't have any other options. But you're not that child anymore. You're the adult they needed back then. And part of healing is telling them the truth they never heard. You deserve love just for existing. Your needs are not a burden. Your feelings make you human, not broken. You are not too much. You have never been too much. As you speak these truths to your inner child, something else happens. You start to reclaim your shadow. Remember, the shadow isn't just your wounds. It's also your power. Everything you rejected to be acceptable, your anger, your desire, your wildness, that's where your life force is hiding. Your anger becomes the ability to set boundaries, to say no, to protect what's sacred. Your neediness becomes healthy attachment, the capacity to let people in. Your sadness becomes depth, empathy, the ability to sit with others in their pain. Your fear becomes discernment, wisdom, the knowledge of what's truly safe and what isn't. Jung spent his life exploring how Carl Jung, empath, and personal development intersect, understanding that true growth requires integrating these rejected parts. When you embrace your shadow, you don't become dark. You become whole. You become real. You stop performing and start living. This is rubedo, the final stage of alchemy, the reddening, the marriage of opposites. It's when the adult wisdom and the childlike wonder finally meet. When your strength and your vulnerability shake hands. When your logic and your intuition become partners instead of enemies. This is what Jung called individuation. Becoming who you truly are. Not perfect. Whole. Not fixed. Integrated. It's the adult who has finally come home to their child. So what does this actually look like in daily life? How do you live from this integrated place? It starts with conversation, with speaking to your inner child throughout the day. When anxiety hits, instead of pushing it away, or medicating it, or powering through it, you pause. You ask, "Hey, little one, I feel you. What are you scared of right now?" Maybe they're scared of failure, of disappointing someone, of being abandoned. Whatever it is, you don't dismiss it. You say, "I understand. I felt that way too. But we're safe now. We're adults now. We can handle this. I've got you. When someone asks you to do something you don't want to do, and that old impulse to people please rises up, you check in. Would I ask my child to betray themselves to make someone else comfortable? No. Then I won't either. And you say no, kindly but firmly, because you're protecting them now. When you feel that familiar sensation of being too much, too loud, too emotional, too intense, you stop the old shame spiral. Instead, you place your hand on your heart and say, "This is our aliveness. This is what makes us real. We're not dimming it anymore. Not for anyone. This is reparenting. It's not one big dramatic moment. It's 1,000 small choices to treat yourself the way you deserved to be treated all along. And here's what happens when you do this. Consistently, your external reality starts to shift, because you were unconsciously attracting people and situations that matched your wound. Someone to replay the unavailable parent. Someone to confirm you're too much. A job that exploits your lack of boundaries. A friendship that requires you to be small. But when your inner child feels genuinely safe, when they know you won't abandon them again, you stop being attracted to these dynamics. You can spot them earlier. Walk away faster. Choose differently. You start gravitating toward people who don't require you to perform, who can handle your full range of emotions, who see your sensitivity as a gift, not a burden. Love stops being a place where you earn worth and becomes a place where you rest in your inherent value. This is the practical magic of inner child work. When you heal, the architecture inside the structure of your life reorganizes itself, not by force, by alignment. Some practical rituals help anchor this transformation. Before you reach for your phone each morning, place your hand on your heart and ask, "What does my inner child need today?" Rest, play, creativity, solitude, connection. Listen to the answer. Then try to give them at least a little of what they're asking for. Learn to read your body as the voice of your inner child. That tightness in your chest, they're scared. That heaviness in your limbs, they're sad. That restless energy they need to move, to play, to shake off some fear. Your body is the telegraph wire between your conscious mind and your unconscious child. Pay attention. At least once a week, do something ridiculous. Not exercise disguised as self-care. Not productive hobbies. Pure, purposeless play. Draw badly. Dance weirdly. Build a fort. Watch cartoons. Let your inner child know we're safe now. We're allowed to enjoy life. We don't have to earn the right to exist through constant achievement. Create without judgment. Your inner child needs to express without an adult critic standing over them. Finger paint. Write messy poetry. Sing off-key. This isn't about the product. It's about permission. Permission to be imperfect, unpolished, fully alive. Now I need to warn you. When you start doing this work, your old programming will fight back. The persona will whisper, "This is selfish. People need you. Get back to work." The fear will say, "If you change, you'll lose everything." The shame will say, "You're being dramatic. Just get over it." This isn't failure. It's proof you're touching something real. Your inner child is testing you. They're asking, "Will you abandon me again when it gets hard? When the world demands you go back to who you were? Will you choose me, or will you choose the mask?" And every time you choose them, every time you honor your needs over the world's expectations, you're rewriting the script. You're showing them, "I meant it. I'm not leaving. Not this time. Not ever again." The discomfort of change is temporary. The pain of staying the same is permanent. Remember that when the old patterns called you back, you didn't come this far to stay small. Imagine waking up, and the first feeling isn't dread or obligation. It's curiosity, maybe even joy. Not manufactured positivity, just the natural sense of being alive and interested in what the day might bring. people start noticing you're different. Lighter, more present, more real. They can't quite name it, but something has shifted. You're not performing anymore. You're not managing their perception of you. You're just being. And paradoxically, that authenticity is more magnetic than any mask ever was. Inside, the critical voice that used to narrate your every move gets quieter. Not gone, it might never be fully gone, but quieter. Less convincing. When it says you're not enough, another voice responds. Actually, we are. We're exactly enough. Self-sabotage loses its grip because you finally understand what it was your inner child's way of saying, we're not ready, we're not safe, don't go further, until we heal this. You actually start liking your own company. Solitude stops feeling like loneliness and starts feeling like sanctuary. Because you're not alone anymore. You're with yourself, the real self, the integrated self. Jung believed that psychological healing was ultimately spiritual work, part of the deep study of Carl Jung empath and personal development. Because when you become whole, when you integrate shadow and light child and adult, you touch something larger than your individual story. You touch the universal human journey from fracture to wholeness. The ancient wisdom traditions understood this. Laozi spoke of returning to the infant, that state of undefended openness. Nietzsche wrote about the spirit becoming a child again, capable of a holy yes to life. Even the Christian mystics said, "Unless you become like children, you cannot enter the kingdom." Not regression, integration. The eyes of a child with the patience of a mountain. True maturity doesn't mean hardening. It means staying soft while being strong. It means you've seen the darkness, you've survived the fire, and you came back more tender, not more defended. Your life becomes less about striving and more about allowing. Less about proving and more about being. You trust the unfolding instead of forcing every outcome. You rest in your inherent worth instead of constantly earning it. You seek silence instead of filling every moment with noise and distraction. And people feel it, not as charisma or charm or any kind of performance. They feel safety, realness, the rare presence of someone who's been to hell and returned not bitter, but compassionate, not broken, but beautifully integrated. Your life becomes a creative act, an authentic expression flowing from your center. Every choice aligns with your values because you finally know what they are. You're not living someone else's script anymore. You're writing your own. And it's not always easy or comfortable, but it's unmistakably yours. This is what Jung meant by the self with a capital S. Not the ego, not the persona. The self, that deeper organizing principle that emerges when all the parts come together. The gold of the soul refined through the fire of transformation. The achievement of Carl Jung empath and personal development at its most profound level. But here's what I need you to understand. Healing your inner child isn't a destination. It's a relationship, a lifelong conversation. Some days they'll be loud, demanding attention. Other days, they'll be quiet content. Some days, you'll forget about them entirely and slip back into old patterns. And that's okay. That's being human. What matters is that now you know. You know that voice. You recognize those patterns. And you have the tools to choose differently. Each layer you heal, each wound you integrate, you become more yourself. More whole, more free. There will be new wounds to discover, deeper truths to face. And that's not failure. That's the spiral of growth. Each time around, you meet yourself at a deeper level. Each time you get to choose love over fear, presence over abandonment, integration over fragmentation. You are not broken. You never were. You were a child who adapted brilliantly to impossible circumstances, who found a way to survive when love felt conditional and the world felt unsafe. That child is a miracle. And now they get to live. Somewhere inside you right now, that child is stirring, maybe even smiling. Not because everything is perfect or healed or resolved, but because finally, after all these years of waiting, someone came back for them. And that someone is you, who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. You've awakened. Now go live like it. Go meet the world as your whole self. Messy, imperfect, beautifully human. Your inner child has been waiting a lifetime for this moment. Don't make them wait any longer. If this touched something and you know you're not alone in this journey, leave a comment below. What did your inner child need to hear today? What wound are you ready to turn toward instead of running from? Share this with someone who needs permission to heal, who needs to know their feelings aren't too much, who's been wearing the mask so long they forgot there's a real person underneath. And subscribe, because this work, this path of integration and wholeness, we're walking it together. One conversation, one truth, one healed wound at a time. See you in the next one, and please take care of that kid inside you. They've been waiting long enough.